We normally do an honorable mentions of FBS teams, but since there were so few games and every team that won is in the 50 this week, we thought we'd do a little FCS moment, give them their shine.
Not only give the FCS a shine, but honor them in the true, fair college football system that they have figured out. A 24-team playoff that is currently underway. The first 2 rounds, the second round just completed, where every team from all 10 conferences, there's one automatic qualifying spot. So every conference is representative, and then there's 14 at-large spots given out. So just a beautiful playoff that the FBS could learn a thing or two from. But anyways, there was some great games. But I wanted to start today off actually with a team that didn't make the playoffs, but had a good year in terms of their history, and that's Idaho State, the Bengals from Pocatello. They have only had, previous to this year, in the last 20 years, they'd only had 2 years where they've broken 500, won 6 games or more. So this is now their third time in the last 21 years now breaking that 500 barrier, and they did it on the last game, winning their rivalry against University of Idaho. And they went up to Moscow, won for the first time since 1981. They have Cody Hawkins as their head coach. You might recognize the last name Hawkins. Dan Hawkins, one of the legends who got that Boise State Bronco train rolling originally. The man before Chris Peterson. Chris Peterson took it to another level, but Dan Hawkins got it started, and he's actually on as an analyst working for his son there in Pocatello. So future looks bright. Cody just finished up his 3rd year at Idaho State. Every year they've improved. They finished 4th in the Big Sky. They took 2 Mountain West teams, 2 of the top Mountain West teams in New Mexico and UNLV, to the brink at the beginning of the year. This team started to figure it out late in the year, winning 4 in a row, and I'm excited to see what they do next year. Next, we got Illinois State. Andrew, Spencer, did any of you see their game against top-seeded North Dakota State?
I did not, but I did see that North Dakota State went down. I texted you immediately and said, is this the upset of the year?
This not only might be the upset of the year, but the manner in which it was performed was insane. So in the FCS playoffs, they actually only seed the first 16 teams. Then they kind of put the teams to go play geographically for the bottom 8, whatever's closest to them. Illinois State was unseeded, but they did go and they played the 16th seeded seed in the first round. Southeast Louisiana beat them. So then they get the North Dakota State Bison, which is basically, for anyone who does not follow the FCS, they are the Alabama of the FCS. They win title after title after title. Gone undefeated this year. Heavy favorites. 4,000 to 1 odds is what Vegas gave Illinois State to win this game. And in this game, Illinois State's quarterback threw 5 interceptions. That's right. 5 interceptions, and they still won.
Illinois. That's not a winning formula.
That's not. They were down with 4.5 minutes left in the game. They were down 28-14, and they had just gotten the ball off of a punt. They go down, they get a quick touchdown score with about 3 minutes left. Didn't even use a timeout, had all 3 timeouts, kicked the ball back off to North Dakota State. On 3rd down and about 5, they strip sack North Dakota State's quarterback, fall on the ball. They're now at North Dakota State's 30-yard line. Just a couple plays later, boom, they're in the end zone. There's 1 minute left in the game. They now have a chance to go for 2, which they do. They convert. They take the lead. In comes North Dakota State's offense that hadn't done a dang thing all day. And guess what? They are without their starting quarterback, who I guess got hurt on the strip sack, hurt his hand. So backup comes in, doesn't do much better than the starter. The starter only had 4 completions on the day. Backup gets a first down, which is actually a big feat for that day. North Dakota State only had 6 first downs all game long. One of their touchdowns was scored by a pick six. Another one was a punt return for a touchdown. A third touchdown was the defense got an interception, gave him the ball at the 4-yard line. So they basically only scored one touchdown. This game should have been a blowout. Illinois State should have got a blowout. They stop them on fourth down. Illinois State ends up kneeling the ball out. So here they were down by 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes left, and they end up kneeling the ball out in victory formation to win it at the end. Everything went Illinois State's way. They finally took the control they needed. They held North Dakota State to under 200 yards of offense. This game just keeps going. Like, the stats are insane. If you want to see a crazy game, look up the ending, look up this box score. What they did to North Dakota State is just unheard of.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Next, we got South Dakota. South Dakota, the 11th ranked team in the FCS playoffs. South Dakota travels to Mercer. Mercer was that school that played Auburn a couple weeks ago and hung with them in the first quarter. It was 14-14 through the first. But anyways.
South Dakota played better than Auburn, is what you're saying, against Mercer?
Yes. South Dakota boat raced them 47-0. Mercer, the higher seeded team. They were the 6th overall seed in the tournament. And what South Dakota did to them was just straight up impressive. They forced 5 turnovers on Mercer, who many thought could be a dark horse in the playoffs. This is the only Dakota team advancing to the quarter finals of the FCS playoffs, which is mind-blowing for the FCS playoffs. The Dakotas dominate. There's 4 of them: North Dakota, South Dakota, and then you had the states for each one. And this is the only one to advance, which is this is not typically the premier Dakota school, but the Coyotes are the ones who are going to be carrying the weight moving forward. Next, we have Tarleton State at number 4 in the FCS playoffs. We've mentioned Tarleton before. If you remember, they had the upset on Army at the beginning of the year. Tarleton is just running a wreck through everyone they face. They're 12-1. They just dominated North Dakota 31-13. This is their first time ever in the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. They've only been FCS since 2020 is when they made the jump up from D2. And one of the most unique facts about Tarleton State is Todd Whitten, their head coach. He is on his 3rd stint at Tarleton. That's right. He's left twice and returned. He returned back in 2016 for the 3rd time, and he's had good luck at Tarleton, though. Things have been a little rocky when he's left Tarleton, but at Tarleton, he's 114-57 over a total of 16 seasons. And lastly, for our FCS honorable mentions, I have Montana State, the 2nd seeded team. They actually had a tight one against Yale. And if you paid attention to the FCS playoffs, Yale had a crazy comeback against Youngstown State last week. I think they came back from 21 points down in the second half and ended up just completely dominating and got the come from behind win over Youngstown. Now, they tried to do the same thing against Montana State, but Montana State ended up making just the right amount of plays at the end to cinch the game away. Montana State, they're a unique program. They're always in it. They're always talked about making the national championship. They were in it last year. They lost the Natty last year.
Heartbreaker to North Dakota State.
Heartbreaker indeed. And Brent Vigin, their head coach, this is his 5th year now. He's been to the Natty twice, has not won it. And there was a lot of rumors swirling around Brent Vigin leaving for Oregon State. And as we know, that didn't happen. Oregon State found a different guy, but we don't know if that was Oregon State's first choice, because it's reported that Brent Vigin, when all the rumors were happening just last week, he held a team meeting and he told his team during the practice, he said, "I will not leave you guys as long as we are playing ball, even if that costs me a job." So respect, if that's true, respect for Brett Vigin.
Mm-hmm.
that because rumor has it Oregon State wanted him now. Like they didn't want to wait to let him finish up through this playoff run. Like they wanted him now to get things going, and he basically said, no, I won't do it if it means I have to leave this playoff run. So it looks like he's going to be at Montana State at least another year. Their big win is just keeping their head man for now.
And for once, they might be able to win if they don't have the bison in their way.
Or the jackrabbits. The Dakotas are largely taken care of. It's just the coyotes that are still out there.
And Tarleton now.
Yeah.
Are they on opposite sides of the bracket?
Yeah, they are. Montana State and Tarleton would not meet until the Natty.
Jacob, thank you for enlightening us on the FCS playoffs. I will now be tuning in. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel